I was looking at Mr. Roofing, and it seems like a fantastic company. I looked at some of the awards, best of the best, and some other awards that you've got. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Mr. Roofing's 36 years old, second generation owner. Father passed down to son, Miguel passed down to Carlos. We spend shockingly little on marketing because our reputation precedes us in a good way.
Mhm.
Very high ratings across the board, 2,500 roughly happy customers, so that gives us a lot of referral business. And yeah, that way we go in and people trust us and we do a good job.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about what you do? I know that you are the COO, but what is your day-to-day look like?
Sure. So my title is Chief Operating Officer, but we use the Entrepreneur Ordering System, EOS. Are you
Hmm.
familiar with that?
Yes, I am very much familiar with that.
All
Yes.
right. So in the EOS structure, you've got the visionary and the integrator, and then all the functional areas report to the
Hmm.
integrator. So I'm the integrator. So
Nice.
technically, all the other groups report to me.
Okay. And how many groups are there under you?
Production, operations, sales, and customer service, and then administration would be our four groups.
Wow. So, okay, so all four report to you. So that must be you must be pretty busy in your day to day. How does it look like when you give us a little bit of a insight into what your day to day looks like?
Yeah, so we run four different EOS meetings a week, five. One with sales, one with
Hmm.
operations, one with the call center, one with the metrics team, and then one with the leadership team. And then yeah, the sales meetings two hours every week, and then it's just I spend a lot of time trying to find the next technology to help our business grow,
Hmm.
optimize our business, and there's so many exciting technologies coming out that it's really fun time to be in any business, but the roofing business has historically been very low technology. And so to see all this technology coming and to help us roofers, it's quite an exciting time.
Talk a little bit more about what do you mean by technologies? Just let us know like what you're talking about a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you kind of where we are and where I think we will be. So right now, if you call after hours, we have an AI CSR who answers the phone. We call her
Hmm.
Dakota. She calls herself Dakota. So, and if you talk to Dakota, you can have a full on conversation. And in fact, she'll find a time for you on her schedule and schedule an appointment with you, just
Yep.
like a real human CSR would. So that's real exciting. That's relatively new this calendar year. And then you get scheduled a meeting, and then we come out, and when we come out to do a measurement, we use drones as opposed to going in the ladders and using a tape
Hmm.
measure. Well, first, before that, we have remote reports that we run that are based on satellite images that are accurate down to 3 inches.
Wow.
So we've already got the roof measurements from a satellite service. Then we go and we use drones to take pictures to find problem areas. And all that's recorded in a tool called Company Cam that lets us mark up and uh, add text to pictures.
Hmm.
And then all those measurements automatically get ported into a CRM and automatically create a proposal.
Wow.
And we do what's called a good, better, best, and platinum. So it'll take one set of measurements and create kind of four options for the homeowner to where they want to be in the value spectrum. Um, and then you, of course, use like electronic signing and electronic financing payments and things like that. So all very exciting stuff, and essentially all of that's new within the last 12 months because
Nice.
technology is really moving fast and some really good stuff out there.
I know. Yeah, I'm in that space. So AI, right? Like that's AI is going to change everything. Talk a little bit more about like, what CRM do you use? And you said that automatically those reports are created. Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So when I started, we were within a kind of soup to nuts tool called Contractors Cloud. We still use that on the back end for production, but about a year ago, we implemented a CRM specific to contractors called Builder Prime
Okay.
that had a lot of customer follow-up tools that Contractors Cloud didn't have. but we found it didn't give us the good, better, best as quickly as we were hoping for. And there are some roofer specific CRMs
Mm.
that take that report and automatically generate these proposals. And so we're just now in the implementation stage of a tool called Roofer, ROOFR. And early returns are quite exciting because one of the things that we've historically struggled with on the estimating side is properly factoring into how how difficult a roof is to do, right?
Mm.
You can have two very simple planes like a barn, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you're just rocking and rolling up down each side, and it's really easy to do. But when you have hips and valleys, and you have to be cutting shingles all the time, and taking care not to get leaks in those valleys, that adds a lot of hours. And so the complexity of the roof makes a big difference. And so historically, we've just asked our estimators, so our salespeople, to kind of classified A, B, C, D, or E difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they can be off, right? And then you're
Mm-hmm.
not making your cost and margin targets. With when you take all these automated reports, they calculate the linear. They have the linear feet of valleys and hips and ridges, and you can calculate, the materials you need for those, which are different materials. You can add the labor charges for those extra finishing touches that
Mm-hmm.
require on a more complex roof, and so it'll really eliminate the human error in estimating a roof.
Uh-huh.
So we're pretty excited about that.
Nice. Where do you think you're likely looking to forward, like 6 to 12 months? What do you think? What are you planning? And what are the
Um,
challenges that you have?
so as the premium roofer in the Bay Area, we're off, every time I've gone to a house and sold a roof myself, we're always the highest price. Because we are the highest level of every manufacturer that we provide. And we do the little things that really add value to a roof and make it last longer. And so historically, we've been, I'll say it, afraid of putting our pricing out on our website.
Mm.
But we think um, that people will understand if we can put a little bit of a story behind it on a website and give them a price range, on that A to E difficulty. This is what your house probably would cost. Um, so we're going to do a little bit more upfront pricing to give people a little bit more awareness of what a roof costs these days. Because
Mm-hmm.
most people, it, I'll buy one roof in my life, 50 years, right? Our roofs last 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not something like where people are buying a car every 5 years, and they just kind of have to update themselves to trends. And their
Sure.
friend just bought a car and this, that, the other thing, right? You're probably making a roofing, if you do it right, you're making one roofing decision in your lifetime, right?
Right.
We run into some people who bought a roof 20 years ago, and that's the perspective on what a roof should cost, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
of course, in the last 20 years, prices have gone up just a little bit. So we want to give people a sense of for what a roof costs these days. And if they shop around far enough, and they really want to go with a cheaper provider, they can go with that. But that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
our customer to start with, right? But that was the fear we had to overcome, is somebody who always goes with the lowest bid is not a Mr. Roofing customer, right? We're looking for a customer who is afraid of hiring the wrong roofer. It
Mm-hmm.
really values reputation, values community roots, values that the fact that everybody on the roof is our employee, not a subcontractor, right? And they're willing to pay a premium for all of those things, and get a roof that will last well beyond their lifetime. So we'll give them a range, and then we'll come out and we'll fine tune and give them, you know, 3 or 4 price points at which they can move forward with us.
Nice. Can you talk a little bit about like residential versus, I think I was reading 80% residential or something like that. Is that still the case? And how do you deal
Yeah,
with, what is the difference
yeah,
between commercial and
probably 90+% residential.
residential?
We focus on residential. A lot of commercial work is, I get an email all the time saying, "Hey, we're redoing a strip mall and put in a bid to redo the roof on the strip mall." That's not our business, right? We're not going to blindly bid on commercial projects. But if it's a commercial project where the decision making is a little bit complicated, there's a lot of stakeholders who are, let's say, not professional purchasers of construction. we'll come
Mm-hmm.
in and we'll spend the time with those groups and help them through the decision-making process. Examples of those are homeowners associations. We just did a
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous condo complex right on the beach in Pacifica,
Okay.
and we were 30% higher than the next highest bid, but we brought in the manufacturer's rep on the shingles. We went completely through it, really helped them through that decision-making process, and they have a gorgeous new roof. We also work
Nice.
with churches and other nonprofits. We're again awfully have a board of directors who are volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
and we're willing to work through that process. Where a pure commercial roofer just wants to throw out a bid and go on to the next one, right? So when we're in commercial, it's through a buying process where there's lots of stakeholders, and we're walking them through the purchasing process.
Got it. So the reason that you're not going after commercial is that is it because it's a long sales cycle? Is that the reason, or that's not your specialty? Yeah.
It's very commoditized, right?
Mm,
Most
interesting.
commercial roofs are fairly simple, right? And so it's the guy who needs the business this month is going to put in the lowest bid and win, right? So and that's fine. But those of us who generally operate at a premium in the primarily the residential space, the worst thing I could do is take my crews off a well-priced residential deal to put them on a break even, slap and dash commercial roof. So,
Hmm. Nice. What is working well for you right now, and what is it that is frustrating? The other question I have is that what are the metrics? You mentioned your metrics meeting, right? What are the metrics
Mhm.
that you are focused on improving?
So it's all kind of the same thing. So the metrics we look at are of the calls that come in, how many are we able to answer? And with AI, we're
Mhm.
now close to 100%. Of those calls we're able to answer, how many book an appointments? Of those appointments we book, how many actually happen? Do they cancel or are they a no-show? Of the appointments that happen, how many do we get a second visit with? We have a two-call consultation process. So, and then of the second meetings that happen, how many decide to go forward with us? And so,
Got it.
and then after the fact, once we have it priced, we have an hours budget. And did we come in above or below that hours budget? And therefore margin. And then, the most important metric, of course, to us is the customer satisfaction score at the end, right? That drives
Mhm.
all our decisions. Are we going to have a satisfied customer? So those are the main metrics we track. Uh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about if you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be? What is it that is keeping you up, if at all, anything at night, right? Is
Um,
there anything that is frustrating?
it'll sound either presumptuous uh, or strange, but you know, we realize Mr. Roofing's not for everyone, but we wish we were in front of everyone to educate them on the buying process of a roof. And then, 30% of
Mhm.
the people we talk to choose to go with Mr. Roofing. And that's great. So I'd like to be in front of everybody in the Bay Area who's making a roofing decision. So, what that means is more leads. Um, and we have spent historically shockingly little on marketing because our reputation does so much work for us. We're well below any sort of industry standard in terms of marketing spend as a percent of revenue. So sooner rather than later, you're going to see us much more out in the community at events. We're going to do event marketing. We're going to increase our efforts around referral marketing. I mean, we get a lot of referrals, but that's almost passively. We're going to try to be a little bit more active, asking for referrals, just so that when again, when a homeowner's making a roofing decision, Mr. Roofing is in the living room, educating the homeowner on a roof, and they either agree with our value proposition or they don't, but at least they would come out of that second meeting with us a much more educated buyer of roofs.
Okay, so it sounds like it's lead gen and marketing is what you're looking at, right? And maybe education is part of marketing.
Yeah, and if I look internally, um, we've got a very true north on what the Mr. Roofing process is, uh, production and selling. But in terms of selling, we've got a very true north, exactly how what we want our in-home consultants to say and what we don't want them to say. And right now, we don't have anybody in the sales manager position, so it's between the owner and I to track all the performance and make sure that the in-home consultants are giving the homeowner the exact Mr. Roofing experience we expect them to have. And so I would like to fill the sales manager role just so I've got a full-time person making sure our in-home consultants are giving the homeowners the right Mr. Roofing experience every single time.
Nice, nice. Okay, cool, awesome. Um,
But there is a little bit of AI going on there too. We use a tool called Rilla
huh?
that records the in-home conversations, and so we have a transcript of every in-home conversation, and we can review them and say, hey, we don't like you weren't quite on point here in terms of talking about this, or you brought up something too early, you brought up something too late, et cetera, et cetera. But when I've got 5 going to 8 in-home reps, right? That's a lot of conversations to listen to every week. So again, I would like a full-time person in that seat, monitoring my in-home presentation team.
Nice. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I guess this question is similar to what I asked. If there is one area of your business that AI or tech could magically fix or improve, I'm guessing that would be lead gen, more lead gen and marketing. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Uh, Lead gen, and I think we can do more AI on making sure our in-home presentation is exactly the way it's supposed to go. Finding out even just a little, I say true north, and I don't want 1 degree deviation from true north in either way. So using AI to make sure our in-home reps are staying true north to the Mr. Roofing way. Yes, on the lead gen, and there are some tools out there that will do an AI analysis of the roof and highlight problem spots on the roof. Those tools right now are kind of ridiculously expensive, so I'm waiting for them to come
Mhm.
down in price. But that would give the homeowners, I feel, particularly in the San Francisco Bay Area, a little bit more confidence that hey, someone's not making up a problem, right? AI has said, yep, this is a problem, right? And AI doesn't get paid anymore if they find a problem or don't, right? So
Mhm.
an AI analysis of a roof uh, is some people are using it. Again, it's really costly, but when the costs come down, Mr. Roofing will certainly add that. But in the meantime, it'll be our consultants finding the problems.
You guys are very different from most businesses in the sense that you're looking for a premium and you're looking for quality, and you seem like very high integrity
Uh,
business. So,
Thank you. We appreciate it. I'm 18 months new to the company, but it was a good fit immediately because Carlos. So Carlos is a second generation roofer, but he's got a degree in psychology from UC Berkeley, and he's assigned me more business books to read in my 18 months than the 18 years previous to that I had my business. So we're a very thoughtful company, very true to our word, from customer interactions through to our we could say internal and external customers. Um, Carlos runs an amazing business, and I feel quite fortunate to be part of it.
yeah, I saw some of his videos. Which books, business books, by the way, I'm into books. I read a lot of books myself, business as well as personal growth. So, does any one or two books come on your
Um,
mind?
let me take a picture of my bookshelf and I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool, awesome.
I believe the one that I'm reading now, which is really interesting, is Unlimited Customers.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if you're familiar
Okay.
with that. And it's really around what I was just talking about earlier. Reveal your prices, be way transparent, and
Mm-hmm.
consumers will really trust you. And
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, Mr. Roofing, we're a premium price roofer. You absolutely can go find a cheaper roofer if you want to, but
Mm-hmm.
here's the advantage of working with us. And if we put that, if we'd be a little bit stronger on our public messaging around that, I think good things will happen.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot, Mark, and you have a nice weekend, okay? And
My pleasure.
I'll
Looking
send
forward to our
you
next
I'll send you
conversation.
yeah, sure. Me too. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.